Mila, run!
When Mila was born, she was so outgoing, always on the move.
Go Mila! Woohoo!
She was always very fearless, even as a baby before she could even walk. She would climb up the furniture, she would climb all over the place.
What up, big girl?
She was very verbal. She could speak over 100 words before 2 years old.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
She was doing all the things that other kids in Colorado where we live were doing.
Good skiing, Bug.
She's like an expert.
Very good skiing.
Then, starting around 3 years old, I started noticing there was just some subtle things that started to be a little bit off. We had her checked and were told that that was normal and she would outgrow it. And then at 5, she started tripping a lot, and I remember someone calling her clumsy, and I thought, this is not a clumsy kid.
Can you get back up? Just before her 6th birthday is when it was obvious that this was very, very serious and progressive.
Mommy.
Okay.
Mommy is mommy.
She went from speaking perfectly to having fragments of a sentence, and then eventually she lost her last word, which was mommy.
She lost her vision completely at that time. She stopped walking. That's when she stopped being independent in any way.
They diagnosed her with Batten disease, and pretty much every doctor that I spoke with said, make the most of your time with Mila, because there really is no hope right now. I no longer dreamed about Mila growing up and about her getting married and her going to college or having a job. It was too painful for me.
The standard of diagnosis is genetic. It's a recessive genetic disease, and we do a Batten panel of tests to identify what gene is defective. Unfortunately, Mila's mutation is so rare that they were unable to find it, and therefore we were not able to test our son for the same thing because one of the 2 mutations was hidden. So at that point, we were, I think, at the end of the options for what is commercially available today. And my wife started looking for somebody who would be interested on a research basis to dig deeper.
One day, 2 Januaries ago, my wife turned to me and said, hey, Tim, would you look at this post on Facebook? This might be something that you'd be interested in. They described that there was a young girl in Boulder, Colorado, who had just been diagnosed with a terrible disease, that the doctors couldn't find the mutation, and that they needed to find someone who could do whole genome sequencing to help them discover what was wrong.
He reached out to me the next day, and it's where our road turned and took the path to where we are today.
Most clinical labs focus on just 1% of the genome, and the 99% that's left over is like the dark matter of the genome. Our lab has a particular interest in that, so that's where we thought we could help.
He called my husband and I and said, we have found the mutation. It's something that's extremely unusual. And then he took it one step further and said, and we have an idea of how we might be able to help Mila.
It's not standard gene therapy, it's a genetic therapy. This hasn't been done before, but we think it might be worth a shot. It's something called oligonucleotide therapy that would be targeted just to help Mila and just her specific mutation.
When Dr. Yu came up with the idea of this new treatment, he explained that you have to have 2 mutations in order to have symptoms. You have to have your father's and your mother's. So the idea was if they could hide and cloak my mutation, that Mila's cells could potentially restore function. It was the best hope that we could ever have imagined.
The science was almost the easy part. figuring out actually how we were going to execute and what our chance of success was, that was the tricky part. We would have to manufacture the drug. We would have to formulate the drug for patient administration. We'd have to get the FDA to allow us to investigate its use in a patient. I'll be honest, there was a lot of skepticism, and there was even concern. We're trying to do a novel therapy untested in a young child. But after talking through all of the concerns, our team really decided that this was worth doing. And I think only in a place like Boston Children's would it have been possible to take some of the difficult to quantify risks going forward.
It was a gradual building of momentum, going from zero, slowly moving through all these steps until last December. Dr. Yu had enough science to convince the FDA and to show that it might work. So finally, a year later, after her diagnosis, Mila was going to actually have some hope.
About 2 hours into her going under anesthesia for her first dose, I think it hit me. Mila has this drug made for her that could stop her disease, and this could be the beginning of a big wave. And she's the first. It was pretty amazing.
All done.
The first 5 months have been a great success because she's tolerated the treatment so well. And there are really, really promising signs that this medication may be slowing or delaying the natural course of her disease. We're watching her seizure count, which has come down considerably since we started treatment. And parents are reporting lots of positive signs. But these are tricky diseases, so we're not out of the woods yet.
I don't know if Mila is going to be the child that everyone remembers as the one who started this road down customized genetic medicine. But right now, today, I try to be very cautiously optimistic. Mila has good days and she has bad days. She has good weeks and bad weeks. But overall, I've seen more good days. I've seen better good days. Now that the technology exists and now that Mila's treatment has proven that this is possible, we really want to continue to pave this road that will allow other children the chance to have an individual genetic therapy.
The key idea is that we're devising a system where we might be able to approach patients and develop drugs for them one patient at a time. This path that we've opened up, this is important enough that we need to continue to explore it for other kids.